invite Dr. Rahul Narayananunni for guruvandanam.
All the esteemed guests on and off the dais, our beloved parents and teachers, our lovely and vibrant juniors, and finally, the 199 faces that are looking at me with the world's most confused expression. A very good evening to one and all. It gives me immense honor and pleasure to be standing here today before you all and sharing the dais with one of the most eminent personalities of this life and talk about one of the most important part of Calicut Medical College. Of all the speakers who spoke here today, they talked about the college, they talked about doctors, they talked about our life, but all of them missed out on one single point which I am here to clarify. I have to pinch myself every now and then to remind myself this is not a dream. It's real. 6 years of roller coaster ride is finally coming to an end, and I am at a loss of words for the first time in my life. Tomorrow, when I walk out of the gates of this college, I don't know how much of medicine I am going to remember, but there is one thing I want to say. All the experiences that I gained from this college are going to remain with me forever, and they're going to change my life forever. You know, one of our professors rightly said that you can read in about 100 books on how to manage a person with a heart attack. But when that person is lying in your arms with the agony of his life, what you do there, right then and there, is the only thing that you're going to remember. That is experience. Speaking of experiences, have you ever been to the beach at midnight? It's one of our most favorite pastimes, especially when you're at Calicut Medical College. People of Calicut will know what I'm talking about. When you sit there on the shore, looking into that eternal darkness, there is a minute of profound silence that just bores into your soul. But suddenly, that silence is shattered with a wave that rises and falls. And these waves have a specialty. With each rising wave, memories flood your mind, the good, bad, and ugly. And your entire life just keeps replaying before you. Today, as I stand here facing you all, when I see the faces of my teachers, each one of them, a wave of memories just rise in my mind. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Honestly speaking, when I was given this opportunity to give a tribute to our teachers, the pillars of our college, I was lost. I actually didn't know where to start, how to continue, and where to stop. And then I thought, what is the greatest achievement of a teacher? It's nothing but realizing that he or she has meticulously cut out a diamond from a mere useless rock. So I thought of sharing a few experiences that we students had experienced almost through every year of our MBBS career and how that transformed our life. In short, I just want to tell you about the few experiences that our teachers gave us that transformed our life forever. Let's start with the first day of our college, the very first day in this great institution. I'm sure none of us will forget that day. Scared, confused, worried, excited. These are a few adjectives that could be used to explain our emotions that time. With all emotions on high end, we were all ushered into the auditorium to give us an introduction. And if I rightly remember, Dr. P.V. Ramanathan sir, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi madam, who was the then head of Department of Physiology, Dr. Jayakrishan sir, who is our professor at Community Medicine, and several other dignitaries were there present on that stage. All of them came and spoke to us. And through each speech, since our stage was very excited, we couldn't concentrate much. And then came the time of Dr. Vijay Lakshmi madam. At first she was hesitant to talk, but then when some of colleagues had pushed her on, she went up to the mic. She took the mic and she said a few words that remain etched in our hearts forever. I know many of them have still not forgotten what she said. This was what she said. I want you all to remember that you are not the 51st batch. You are the first batch after 50 years. And no matter what anyone says to you, no matter what happens to you, you should never forget that thing, that you are the first batch after 50 years. I can still feel my hair standing on its ends. It was the first greatest lesson in medicine that we ever learned. That is, a great doctor is one who has the ability to think apart from the crowd. Only he will be able to take life from death. Vijay Lakshmi madam, since that day, each one of us have tried to be the first batch after 50 years, and we just hope that we came up to your expectations. How can we ever forget our first principal, Dr. P.V. Ramachandran sir? And I think Naufal has said much more than I need to say. He was the one who brought us into the family, who admitted us into this college. And believe it or not, he actually spent 5 minutes with 200 of us, talking to us personally. We were just students who have come after completing our 11th and 12th in schools, and we have come to this institution. We are puzzled, we are scared, we have no idea what we are supposed to do. And there is this great man of an institution who comes down and talks to us for 5 minutes. Sir, I have to tell you, that 5 minutes changed our lives forever. He talked to us not about medicine, about how much marks you got, about what do you want to be. He just talked to us about what are our hobbies other than reading educational books. What do you do other than just reading your school textbooks? Do you listen to music? Do you read books? Yes, if you do you read books? What books do you read? That was one of the most beautiful 5 minutes I ever spent in my life. And that single action simply helped us become a part of the family in one blink of an eye. That was our second lesson in medicine. A great doctor should be compassionate and patient. After that, we entered into the college, first year, second year, and all passed in a blink of an eye. And then we were into our clinics. And then I learned the third lesson and the most important lesson in medicine. I think it was when I was in my 6th semester, and I was walking through one of the female surgery wards looking for cases to be presented in that afternoon. I was looking through and talking to patients in a cursory manner, when suddenly one single patient at the corner of the ward caught my attention. I still don't know what was it about that patient that attracted me so much. Was it her pleasant nature, or the way that she was lying with a blanket over her with only her head being visible? I don't know. I was just drawn to her. And I went up to her. She was sleeping. I happened to notice the case sheet that was lying on her bed, and the diagnosis was reversal of colostomy. Now, a 6th semester student should have heard that term. Since I was a very brilliant student, it was a relatively new term to me. I knew what the meaning was, but it was relatively new to me. And quite loudly, I asked myself, reversal of colostomy? And luckily for me, the patient happened to hear what I said. And wonder of wonders, she started explaining to me what reversal of colostomy was. Our parents, our teachers, our professors always tell us that the patients are your textbooks. Literally, this patient was my textbook. She was actually teaching me medicine. So I was astonished about the information that she had and how coolly she was presenting it to me. It was about her life, about the tragedies that she's facing, about how bad it is. And she just told me so peacefully, so calmly. I was puzzled. And I asked her, how did you know all of this stuff? And the reply she gave me was my third and the most important lesson I learned in medicine. She told me that her surgeon had explained everything to her, every single detail. What is going to happen to her, what has happened to her, what are the remedies that we can do, and what are her chances. Basically, that surgeon had treated her. I realized for the first time in my life that when a patient comes to you with an illness or a pain, his biggest illness is his fear. His fear of what is happening to him. And when you can take that fear out of his eyes, out of his heart, you have more than halfly treated the patient. So whenever a person comes to you, it's not the virus, it's not the cancer that you're supposed to treat, it's his fear. You need to acknowledge that. And our teachers, without even saying those words, simply taught us that lesson. And then we came on to the final year of MBBS. And for all those people who do not know what final year MBBS is, I will give you a simple explanation. Imagine yourself walking by the side of the road, and suddenly, without any provocation, a coconut falls right in the middle of your head. And then, as you're gaining your consciousness and getting up from that place, a tire from a plane that had already flown above you comes and finds you exactly in that right spot. That, my dear friends, in simple language, is final year MBBS to you. But even during those difficult times, our teachers were not frustrated with us. They stood by us as pillars, even after looking hundreds of patients in the OP the entire day. Without even uttering a complaint, they came back in the evening to take classes for us, for case presentations, to improve our way of presenting cases. They never spoon-fed us. Not one of them ever spoon-fed us. Instead, they conducted the toughest of the toughest internal exams, which actually simply helped us to walk through the final year university exams. If I start mentioning all the experience that I had through the teachers of this college, I might not stop for today. We all might have earned those 2 precious letters before our names today, but without the help and support of our teachers, those 2 letters would not have been so precious to us. They are the wings on which we learned to fly. We don't know how to thank you, teachers. Honestly, not one of us 200 people know how to thank you. All we can say is that the number of lives we save, the number of tears we wipe, and the number of smiles we give birth to is our thank you to you, is our dedication to you. Our principal, Dr. Sri Ravindran sir, rightly said that the greatest advantage of our batch is that we studied in this college. But I have a slightly different opinion. The greatest advantage of our batch is that we studied in this college at a time under the shadow of the greatest teachers this college has ever seen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul Unni.